Good morning. Hello, Mob family. Good morning. Welcome to the Mob TV live event coffee hour. Yeah, that's our new title. Let's see who comes today. It does take a little while for everyone to come in. Good morning. Good morning, Diane. How are you? Welcome. Good morning, Marie. Nice to see you both. Hope you're both well. Good morning, Wendy. Hello. Hello. I'm sounding like who's that? Oh, the Old Spice man. Hello, and welcome to the Mob TV. Good morning, Dolly. Good morning, Richard. Good morning, Stacy. Good morning, Jim. Good morning, Audrey, Kat, and Terry. Morning, Malcolm, Carrie, and Vicky. Howdy. Hello. Wait. Hello. I'm gonna see if I can get Old Spice to sponsor me. I'm gonna start using their hello. Hello, and welcome to Mob TV Coffee Hour. Good morning. So Carrie, PM me later. I may be able to get the Ellie figurine. Those of you who know what we're talking about know what we're talking about. If you don't, you don't. How's everyone doing today? So let me start off with first hello to the tribe. Hello to the little ones, to Ray, Ava, Zoya. Hello to the big ones, Tito and Josh. Hello, a big shout out to my sister who's probably on her way home right now. To my sister Isabel. Bye. I know she's leaving work. Let's see. And of course to my amazing wife, Dolly, who's floating around here somewhere. Let's see what else we got. If you've noticed, there's been an uptick in products at the Zazzle store. So go jump. That's Dolly's is starting. She's gotten more artwork and she's starting to put up these amazing products in Zazzle. So give yourself a moment, go out there and check out what we have on the Zazzle store. Always remember we're on YouTube, so like, subscribe, and share. Chris is doing some amazing work. If you look at the page now, it has like the image of me with the flames. It's pretty awesome. So this is episode 17, and go visit our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Let's see. You're welcome. You're welcome, Dan. Yeah, Vicky, I have a Stein with the M&S logo, but I like this one because it has a classic. If you look carefully, it's the old Iron Man image from Marvel. Actually, the first one before Iron Man was red and yellow. So he was originally gray and yellow, and then they shifted it to red and yellow. I think it was a printing thing, and so. That cup is a gift. Dolly got it for me. So yes. And yes, it is a saucepan. That's about right size for my hand. Yeah. Yep. So let's see, what do we got here? Hope you're all doing well. It's Friday. And it's a lot. You know how quickly January has gone? Amazing. It's the last day of the month. So I hope your year is progressing nicely. Let's see also. Chris Mendoza, good morning. Laurie, good morning. Kristen, good morning. Oh, Kirsten, good morning. Joe, good morning. Oh, I heard about the rugby moratorium on if no one can interrupt you during rugby. Got it, Joe. Good morning, Marsha. Good morning, Mary Lane. Morning, Mark. Well, actually, good afternoon, Mark. You're across the pond. Chris says Dolly's doing an amazing job. Yeah, the store's looking really great. So I just have so much going on and Dolly is like really good at it. She's really learned the interface, so she's starting to like play with the design. So it's much better in her hands. You're gonna get a much better, you know. And don't forget, like lately, if you're into skating, like skateboarding, there's a whole line of skateboards for those of you that like to shred on the streets. So go jump in and get some Monty and Strong and Peaches skateboards. She's just exploring the whole Zazzle store. So there's going to be Monty and Strong everything. Actually, you know what? You could probably ask her to make a specific product on the mob page and see if it's on, and she'll see if it's in the Zazzle store. Maybe you could get like a Monty and Strong, I don't know, sweat towel. Oh yeah, ooh, Monty and Strong. Let's see, where was I? Good morning, Corinne. Good morning, Mary Dot. Let's see. Mark says that mug may not look like that big to others, but you're not taking the size of those mitts. No, this is actually a petite. It's just my hands are really, really small, Mark. Really small. Yes. Let's see. Who else joined us? Laura Tallman, good morning. I want to remind you, Vicky, that tomorrow you have to go back to work. I'm so sorry. Good morning, Trisha. Okay. Oh, wow. Across the pond and on holiday, Mark. That's nice. What is the holiday across the pond? I'm not that familiar with the holidays way across the Atlantic. Let us know. So let's see. What have I been doing lately? I gave you guys the state of the projects. And so I'm currently, I can tell you right now, about 1/3, I want to say, almost 1/3 of the way, maybe a little bit more of the way through the Badlands book with the last one, Dragon's Impasse, the third one, with John Logson. So about 1/3 of the way through that. And about 1/4 of the way, so Michiko's book is going to be broken up into 3 parts. So it's interesting because I got the covers made, oh my God, like a few years ago, like 2 years ago. It's been that long. I had the covers just sitting there. I already had the story outlined, but I had the covers made. I didn't want to get, because it's one book, I didn't want to get different covers. So it's the same, it's the one book, 3 parts. The covers look similar. They just change in color a little bit. But I had them sitting for so long, so I should really get to the story. So when you see the other covers, you're going to be like, isn't it the same book? But the titles are different. But it's just going to look similar. Yeah, I can't fit all my hands. Chris says, nice to see you. I'm not the only one who can't fit all fingers in the handle. I need a serious mug to be able to fit all my fingers. Like the handle would have to be like that, you know? So yeah. I can relate to Ben Grimm for sure. Yeah, so that's so Badlands is kind of running along, steaming along, which is good, because that one, like I've explained to you before, it's that kind of longer process, even though we're moving at a pretty fast clip. And Blood Ascension, which is the first of the 3, is moving on really well. I sent you guys a snippet, and it's just gonna start picking up speed. The first part is 20K, the second part is 20K, the third part is 20K. So together it makes 1 book. So I wanted to do it that way just to see what it would be like. And then I'll put it together as a box set or put it together as 1 book later on if you want to get the whole book. But I just wanted to try something like that because I've never done something like that. So we'll see how that works. Good morning, Robert. Good morning, Rebecca. Let's see. Mary Dot asks, are we ever going to learn about what is going on with Peach's litter mates? Later on in the Monty and Strong series, you'll start finding out why some of the litter mates didn't make it, and it gets more involved. The history behind Peaches. Same thing with the history behind Simon. Starts becoming more and more apparent. I promise not to wait 5 years, like a certain author we're all waiting for. Stacy says, I hope it makes me like Chi. I think it will. If it's not like her, at least you will grudgingly respect why she is the way she is. And in that story, you get to see Chi interact more with Gray and Coda, because Gray has the sword, 1, and 2, it's a darker story, and it's always at night. And it's mostly because Gray moves in a darker area, and she has to move in that area in order to do what she needs to do to confront the Dark Council. And she can't do that with Monty and Simon and Peaches because they are actually targets of the Dark Council. So she doesn't want to put them in danger. And all books, as Mark has just said, all books will be arriving soon. TM. Yes. Does Simon have litter mates too? I think he's an only child, so no litter mates for Simon. Chris, yeah. So I think these are called river novels, and what they are is an old style of writing. It's taking a novel and separating it, and it was almost like episodes of serials. So that's what I wanted to try. I've never written a book that way, and I figured Cheese Story was really good to do that with, and to see if I can break it up that way. The other option was to write a huge book and then break it into sections, but that I think it loses something that way. The one book that I remember that they did that with was Lord of the Rings. When Tolkien wrote that book, it was one tome. All three books were one book, and his agent told him, "There's no way we can sell something this large, so they're going to break it up." Fortunately, it had already been broken up into, Lord of the Rings had been broken up into three sections: Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers, and Return of the King. He actually had those parts in there, and so it was easy to make those divisions. I'm just working it. I'm reverse engineering that, working backwards and having it with the parts already there. Let's see. Hello, Rhiannon. Good morning. Richard says author reference over my head. No, it's just a matter of how I'm going to write this current story, Richard. Nothing too deep. RJ wants to know if there are going to be more Peaches stories soon. There's always, every Monty and Strong story is a Peaches story. It's every Peaches story has Monty and Strong in it. That's what I'm beginning to understand at this point. Oh, Richard, yeah, it's Jim Butcher is the author that I think it took, to my understanding, it took 5 years to get Peace Talks out. And I was saying in the room that my brain can't even compute waiting 5 years between books. That's just not my, my brain can't process that. But he did it, and everyone's waiting for Peace Talks. So I'm waiting for Peace Talks. It's just because we love the character that much. I just can't see making anyone wait 5 years. Again, life happens. So, we don't know the details of what's going on through Jim's life. I know he got engaged and married and he moved. So in the middle of all of that, it's going to be hard to write maybe. So, and everyone has a different process. And Jim's a really nice guy. I have spoken to him online, and so he seems like a really nice guy. So we don't know the details of his life. So maybe it took him that long to finally get Harry's story, straight at that point. Chris says, I love serials. And David Eddings was fond of writing that way. Yeah, I think I've read some David Eddings. So yeah, I think it's going to be fun. I'm going to try it and see how it goes. I think the stories after that, if there's a real demand for a continuation, I'm going to wrap it up in those 3 books, which is really one book. But if there's a demand for it, I'll just write the next books as regular novels, 50, 60K, and not broken up that way. Sherlock Holmes was a little bit more episodic because they were printed in magazines. Yes, as Mark says. Let's see. Chris asks, when did you come up with Peaches? Wow, that's a great question. So most urban fantasy, just using Jim Butcher as a reference, most urban fantasy characters, the protagonists, have a sidekick pet. If you think about Harry Dresden or Atticus O'Sullivan, who has Oberon, which is I think one of my favorite pet sidekicks is Oberon, because he's just this Irish wolfhound who has this fantastic interaction with Atticus. In Harry Dresden, Mouse doesn't really communicate verbally with Harry, but he communicates in other ways, along with Mister, who's his cat, also nonverbal. Maybe because Butcher just didn't want to have to write more dialogue. So I was looking at creating this story. It's the beginning, like at 2 Yards and Butterflies. And I said, Simon needs a pet, but it can't just be any pet. It can't be any sidekick. It has to be something different. And I had recently, prior to actually writing 2 Yards and Butterflies, I had read Andrew Vox, and he has a mastiff. Like this main character has a huge mastiff called Pansy, which is like such a disconnect. And I said that really caught my eye, and I really enjoyed the stories because of that. So I said, I'm going to create this hellhound. I said something like really menacing, but call it Peaches, because why not? A hellhound called Peaches. And that's where Peaches came from. That was a long-winded way of sharing how Peaches came about. Let's see. Robert says, good morning, Sensei. I wear a pentagram ring in the middle finger and a pentagram pendant. That covers my left shoulder. Yes. Oh, you have a tat. Also, yes, let's see. And he said, lowering my voice to a deep cross, said, when I was your age, I gave myself totally to the powers of darkness. This is why grandkids and kids in general are fun. Yes. Oh, Mark says he's also traditional publishing. Yes. So a lot of people had given Jim Butcher a lot of grief, but his publishing schedule isn't really up to him. I think they were waiting to 2020 because he's been writing for 20 years, and they've been really promoting these 20-year celebrations. So it's like 2020, 20 years in 2020, and so it's a whole big thing. So his publishing schedule isn't up to him. When you're indie, you can publish as much as you want, depending on your schedule. When you're traditional, you have to wait because they have a queue, and they want to release certain books at certain times. It's a business, and they want to make sure that they release the book at a time when they think it's going to make the most money. So there are a lot of things that are out of his control. The covers are out of his control. A lot of it is out of his control. So let's see. Mark says, my main character doesn't have a pet sidekick. He's got Dave. Yes. We're waiting for that to come out, Mark. So get cracking, okay? Hello, Tareen. A boy called Sue. Yes, Mark says, a hell called Peaches makes me think of that old song, A Boy Called Sue. Yes, you're really old, Mark. That's way before my time. So let's see what else is happening. So Bitten Peaches has a new Instagram page. So I'm slowly adding content to it. And so don't forget to follow Bitten Peaches now. I know there's an older one that has all the covers, but that wasn't a professional one. This one is going to be a professional page because they told me you should have a business page for this. So now I had to create a new one because it's a whole thing. So it was easier just to create the new page and start adding content to that. Plus we have new content. So we're going to add to the Bitten Peaches. It's easier because it's not Bitten Peaches Publishing, it's just Bitten Peaches. And I'll put the link up eventually in the mob room. As every time I add content, I'll put the link up to share with you guys. So make sure you follow us on Instagram. Follow Bitten Peaches on Instagram. Mark says, I predate mountain ranges. Well, I was there when the Rockies were formed. This is true. I noticed, and there was still little hills. So I was there for that. Yeah, for sure. Like when they were making dirt, I was on the consulting team. Yeah. All right, so what else have we got happening? The next Monty and Strong book is due, April. That's coming out in April. The art should get it sooner, obviously, but it looks like it's coming out at the end of April. And then there's going to be another Night Warden. And in between that, I think I'll do another Division 13 is the Pain Eaters. The next Division 13 has to get done. So there's a bunch of stuff happening in between now and April, like smaller stories, novellas will be happening. Some point I'll get some sleep in there. Thank you, Wendy. I thought Dirt came out really well. I was on the consulting team and said it needs to be a little granular, and when it gets wet, it can be clumpy. So I gave it my input. Let's see what we got. I am older than Dirt. Yes, older than Dirt, for sure. Well, see, I get a lot of questions about when I sleep. I do actually sleep. People say I've never answered the question. Some people say I've never answered. I have answered the question. I get sleep. I've heard of the concept. It's just that my sleep is very compressed. So I think it was Arnold Schwarzenegger that said, he was breaking down a day, and he says, well, you sleep 6 hours, and then some people would tell him, well, I need my 8 hours, and he would say, well, sleep faster. That way you have more time. So I sleep faster. I compress the time in my sleep. So 1 hour of sleep for everyone else is like 3 hours of sleep for me. How's that? Is that a good explanation? Tareen, happy birthday! Yay! I didn't realize it was your birthday today. Carrie wants to know, will Frank be joining Peaches for any more adventures? Yeah, they have 2 more stories in their trilogy to get through. So the next story is called Brew and Chew, because that's what they're called, the group. And after that, it'll be Cold Girl, because someone will be coming after Cece. And Frank, Rags, and Peaches will be protecting her. So those 2 stories will be coming out at some point. But I promise you this year, God, really? Yeah. I promise you this year, Sepia Blue will be done. So that's fun. And then I got to look at the other stories that are kind of dangling, like Chronicles of the Modern Mystics and Blur, John Kane stories. At some point, there's some other stories that are floating out there. The Designers got to get done. There are a few series that need to get done. I've calculated how many series are out there that I have. Wow. Yeah, there are a lot of series that have been started. So I'm going to start focusing on each series and getting it done. So it'll be 1 series book, 1 Monty and Strong book. There's always going to be a Monty and Strong book, and then one of the other series. Let's see. Robert said, while waiting for Peace Talks, I discovered Sandman Slim, Atticus O'Sullivan. When I discovered Atticus O'Sullivan, I had a lot of fun with those books. I still haven't read the last book because I've been prolonging the series. But the 7th book I heard was a little disappointing, of the Iron Druid. And, of course, Monty, Simon, and Peaches. Yes, all good things come to those who wait, Robert. And I'm pretty sure Atticus and Monty, Simon, and Peaches were all influenced by Jim Butcher somehow. Rebecca wants to know, will the new Night Warden pick up after Chi's story? It will pick up probably concurrently with Chi's story, because this story with Chi is dealing with why she's missing. So it'll kind of pick up kind of at the same time. So you'll have a nice crossover into the new Night Warden story. Mark says, closing your eyes for 15 seconds does not count as sleep. No, it counts as a nap, not sleep. Let's see. Happy birthday. That's a good one, Carrie. All right. Well, yeah, I'm not going to give away all the secrets, Malcolm. Jeez. Malcolm says, I still haven't not given his time to sleep. Compressed, yes. How he fits it in is not mentioned. Naps during the day. How's that? I agree, Chris, especially when the body's aching. If you can get 1 good hour of sleep, it's completely restorative. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Good morning, Carolyn. Welcome. Not late. You got like more than 30 minutes, like 32 minutes left. Vicky says, Monty needs crumpets or muffins. I know there's a brand that he's going to start eating. I just got to make sure I'm not stepping on any toes. Like, I got permission from Death Wish Coffee, the actual company, to use Death Wish in the books. And they gave us a code, which is Java Ambrosia, the word that I created. Java Ambrosia, if you use that at the store, it gives you 10% off everything else on the store, except subscriptions. If you use Vest Java Ambrosia, because we have it only because of Glenn Vest, it gives you 10%. They don't stack, sorry. So you can't end up getting 20%. But we actually have a coupon or discount code for the mob at Death Wish Coffee called Vest Java Ambrosia or just Java Ambrosia. So use it. Because I think if after a year we don't use it, they kind of discontinue the code. So I'll remember to keep reminding you guys to use it. And Glenn does every time he makes a post. Let's see. Mark says I've got the paperback of the first 3 or 4 of the Iron Druid, signed by the man. Yeah, I speak to him online. Kevin's a great guy that I know of, you know. Good morning, Corinne. Was that Corinne? Yes. So Mary Dot says your output seems to indicate you have a very efficient writing system. So do you handwrite, type, dictate, or spellcast your work? E, all of the above. No, I don't dictate. I tried dictating. My brain doesn't like it. The story doesn't translate well from thinking to speaking it. It's really an interesting process. Very easy to translate from speaking to my fingers. Speaking, thinking to speaking doesn't seem to work as well. And plus, I listen to music when I write, and I can't do that if I'm dictating because they don't work well together. Let's see. Richard says, when is a new blackjack coming? It's in the works. Let's see. Jeez. It's going to be a while, Richard. I'm sorry. But it's in the works. It's always in the back of the mind. All these stories in the back of my mind. My working theory is that writers eventually go mad and become schizophrenic in their old age from all the stories they didn't get out are just rattling around in their heads. Yes. Scones. Yes, scones. See, that's another one I can get Monty to eat, scones. Yeah, but you're here, Carolyn, and that's the important thing. Carolyn says it's really late, but you're still going to get half of the hour, so that's awesome. Married Out says, naps are a great goodness, and I agree. Naps are a great goodness. Well, no, see, Mark, I go the peaches route. My keyboards are made of titanium, so they can take a beating. And so I can high caffeine intake, titanium keyboards, and we're good. Warburton's, I'm guessing that's a brand, Mark? Okay, seems like it is, yeah. Well, now I'm getting hungry, you guys. Scones need clotted cream and strawberry jam. Clotted cream sounds unpleasant. What exactly is clotted cream? Is that what we call cream cheese? Richard wants a timeline for the blackjacks. I'm gonna say sometime at the end of the year, Richard, because they're short, I can fit them in between the big projects. So the blackjacks have 2 stories that are already outlined, which is Quantum something and Death Dancers. So Quantum Dreams and Death Dancers. Then I think there's World Walker, and there's a few other Suicide Kings, Star Striders. So all those stories are already kind of set. It's just that they have to fit into the queue, into the schedule. So I hope I answered your question, Richard. The next one will be sometime this year, maybe 2 this year, depending on how the schedule works. Let's see. Scones, not scones. Okay, sure. Oh, Vicky would be interested to see the runes on peaches. Here you go, Vicky. The runes on peaches. Those runes say peaches. I think, but you have to find the right alphabet. But yes, they say peaches. Let's see. No timelines, all last, you answered. Oh, good. I'm glad I was able to answer for you, Richard. Awesome. Oh, clotted cream is like sweet butter. Fantastic. We'll have to try that. Or maybe the next time I'm in London, I'll have to try or ask for clotted cream. Do I need to use the accent clotted cream? Maybe. My dad says I have titanium as a thigh bone. It doesn't show up on the TSA X. Really, it doesn't? I thought it would. Titanium is a pretty dense metal, so it's interesting. Maybe because there's so much of your leg, it's in your thigh. Listen, the keyboard that I use, I'm working on a Mac. It's this ultra light, thin thing. You look at it. It looks like it would break under my hands, but it's really good and it's really resilient. And I type light, so I do practice martial arts, so I know when to be gentle. Vicky says clotted cream is unique, not like cream cheese. I feel like this is the food episode. Not like cream cheese, but similar texture, just chunkier. Scones must be fruit with butter, jam. Oh, and then the clotted cream with tea of choice. You had me up to the tea. So with the coffee of choice works. Vicky, we're working on it. This is Dolly's department. She's going to work on getting these sourced, and everyone is going to have a peaches at some point. So don't worry. It takes a little work. You got to find the right person to make it. You got to find the right person to make it right and affordable so that each one doesn't cost you like $100. So, but we're working on it, and hopefully this year we'll get a supplier that can make them, and then we'll put them up. somewhere so you guys can get them. I think everyone should have a peaches. Let's see. Mark says he can see Strong buying haggis from Monty. Monty's a vegetarian, so I don't know if he could eat something like haggis. So no, I don't. I think that's a big no. Afternoon tea at the Ritz. How about just afternoon at the Ritz? And I'll drink something else besides tea. How's that? Welcome, Gemma. Working from home. Awesome. Glad you're here with us. Gemma says you can't have cream teas with coffee. I could be a trendsetter and buck tradition. How's that? Yeah, but see, if coffee is medicine, coffee can be for life too. I understand that if you drink coffee, you prolong your life. And not only that, if you drink coffee, you can prolong other people's lives because now you're calm and settled and less capable, less desiring to murder other people. When you drink your coffee, it calms you down. See? Coffee is a lifesaver. It's amazing that way. Oh, there's vegetarian haggis. See, I didn't know that. That's got to taste so good. Heavy on the sarcasm there. Vicky, I would give it a serious thought. I used to be a big tea drinker long ago in a different life. If not, Dolly could try it. She likes tea. She drinks tea. Mary Lane says coffee for life and tea for toddies. Okay. What are toddies, Mary Lane? Educate me. I don't throw the keyboard, Vicky. Not often. Carrie, don't forget to PM me. We'll talk. Have fun preparing dinner. Get some sleep. Yes, Beck. Death wish. Oh, see, Wendy says, you just thought Peaches had death and gas with the healthy sausage. Give him some haggis and send him to the outer rings. I might have to consider that. If he'll eat haggis, Peaches is kind of a meat snob. So he may smell that and go, nah, I don't think so. There's always time for chocolate and coffee. Interchangeably, Vicky, for sure. Yeah, I agree with Chris. See, Chris says massive coffee intake keeps him looking young. We call this, it's almost like formaldehyde for humans. We kill, the coffee keeps you looking young. No one would think I'm a day over 70, and I am. It's just the coffee keeps me looking young. Laura says tea with whiskey. Well, Vicky, I don't drink my coffee. I don't want to, if you can see it. It's black. That's the way you drink your coffee. Coffee should be imbibed, drank black. On occasion without sugar. Sometimes I'll put sugar in it, but most of the times I like sugar. Okay, I was saying 70 not to scare anyone, Mark, but yes, 70,000. An eon or two, give or take an eon or two. So a hot toddy. Mine consists of strong hot black tea, raw honey, lemon, and a shot of Jack. So Jack Daniels, that's a hot toddy? I might have to try that at some point. It sounds interesting. Can we substitute coffee for tea? What do you call it when you put Jack in coffee? Coffee? Coffee with a kick? Dolly says a death wish rep should be on these live tea. They should, because we're calling it coffee hour. So we start calling it the Death Wish Monty and Strong Coffee Hour. Do you think they'll come and sponsor us? That'd be awesome. Then everyone could get free Death Wish. Well, yes, wine does too, but coffee is easier. Hot lemonade. This is what Vicky says. Hot lemonade, whiskey, and a drop of honey. These sound really good. Yeah. Are there cold versions of this? Because that'd be great for the summer. Bye, Laura. Have a fantastic weekend. Thank you for visiting. So Jack and coffee is Irish coffee, and brandy. What's brandy called? Let's be interesting. I would still just call it coffee. I see. Okay. So if you use Jack or any other Irish whiskey, it's Irish coffee. Do the English have a whiskey that they're known for? Because then it can be English coffee. Yes. Wow, shortbread cookies. Really, this is gonna become like the food episode. I'm getting hungry just reading this. Welcome, Jenny. I'm glad you got your internet to finally behave, and I'm also glad you didn't miss the episode. This is episode 17, the coffee and food hour, apparently. So that's pretty awesome. Oh, so for those of you also that aren't, I think our mob is like 1,200 strong now. All of you aren't on the newsletter. So take a moment to go to the newsletter and sign up. That's at www.orlandoasanchez.com, which is the author page. And on top, you just you get 3 short stories that are free. Sign up, get your short stories, which you won't find anywhere else except there, and join the newsletter. A few people I think I joined manually because they didn't know they couldn't get to the page, but it gives you access now. So just join up the newsletter because you'll find out things probably about the same time as the mob, maybe a little bit before. And as always, you won't miss any news. So yeah. Let's see who else is joining. Benna, good morning, Benna. Welcome. Oh, see, I didn't know that. Yes, a cold toddy is called a Long Island iced tea. I've had many of those in my past. Oh, perfect timing, Trisha, because lunch is in 25 minutes and we'll be done in 20. So that's awesome. Oh, see, I didn't know that. Coffee with brandy. I'm learning so much today. Coffee with brandy is a Cafe Royale. Look at that. Excellent. For some reason, Malcolm, that makes me think of the Bond Casino Royale movie. But yes, Cafe Royale. Okay. Maybe we need to start stocking up on brandy. Brandy and whiskey. I'm not much of a drinker, so these are all new things to me. Good morning, Alex. Welcome. What was the oops, Benna? Did you slip and not get online? Is that what happened? Let's see. Yeah. So maybe I should start having Simon make drinks for like he can start experimenting with different drinks in an effort to convert Monty from tea to coffee, because he has given the flask to Monty, but when Monty drinks it, it's like the perfect Earl Grey. But maybe in an effort to get Monty away from tea, Simon can start creating tea-like drinks to see if he can convince Monty to drink it. Yes, Mark, so the Monty and Strong cocktail book. That's what let's create. Vicky asks, who is your favorite Bond? Oof. Okay, well, the classic is Sean because it's Sean. Come on. But of the more recent ones, I'm going to have to go with Daniel Craig only because they finally made Bond flawed. Before, he was perfect. You know, nothing touched him. He was charismatic and, you know. But up until the Daniel Craig Bond did you get to see Bond, like, he's getting older, he failed his physical, and they still kind of, you know, played with the system to let him be out in the field. So I really like the Daniel Craig Bond because he was flawed. He was more human. And Sean, because it's Sean Connery. I mean, come on. How could you not like the Sean Connery Bond? But that's my favorite Bond, is Sean and Daniel Craig. So Jenny says, my great-grandfather was a horse and buggy doctor, so these guys were outside all the time, and who swore by whiskey, honey, and lemon for coughs. That's kind of like the old remedy, and I think it still works. Justin, welcome and joining us. Malcolm says, would Monty drink alcohol? No, see, Monty has Monty and most mages do not like to lose control, not because they're control freaks, but because they manipulate so much power that if they lost control, it could be dangerous and devastating. It's also why Simon sometimes accuses him of being a Vulcan, because they're in such control that they're pretty much in control of their emotions all the time. Monty's an outlier because he's depicted as angry, which means he still has a lot to grow. So I don't think he'd drink alcohol because it could result in a loss of control. And a loss of control for a mage as powerful as Monty would be more destructive than usual. Benna wants to know what other kinds of things are going to be in the shop. I couldn't tell you, Benna, because the shop has so many things, and we just ran through a whole bunch of skateboards decks. Who knew we were going to have skateboard decks? I hope a lot of you guys are skateboarders or have young people in your life that like skateboarding. But the shop has so many different things, and Dolly's just putting different designs on pretty much everything. I think it's going to be a little bit of everything. But if you want to see something specific, send Dolly a PM and say, hey, can you put a design on X item? And if it's in the store, she probably could. So I'm sure if you drop her a line or a message, she can work it in there. Oh, let's see. Dawn, good morning. Welcome. You got 15 minutes. Gemma says Craig and Dalton were the closest to the books. In regards to Bond, yeah, I think Craig is really close. Timothy Dalton was a good Bond. He just wasn't as charismatic. I think he only did 1 or 2 movies, Timothy Dalton. So he didn't have a long run. As an actor, he was okay. He was an okay Bond. I'm not that fluent in the Bond literature, but I read a few books. But I am fluent in Ian Fleming's life, and he was pretty amazing. He was like almost like a real world Bond, a real life Bond. So yes. Look at that. See, I didn't know that, Mark. That all of Connery's Bond films were done doing a toupee. There you go. See, he should have just let it go. Let's see. Rebecca says, okay, explain Dex. How do you want me to explain Dex? Dex is an outlier. Dex doesn't conform to any kind of rules. So, but Dex is, for all his craziness, he's still very much in control. He's not out of control. And he has a very tight rein on what he feels. It's just that he doesn't conform to rules. So Dex's thing is that you can't box him in, which is why he's currently chafing as the one who's leading the Golden Circle. He's not going to be there for long. So, but that, Dex isn't out of control. He's just insane, which is a different kind of thing. Let's see. Oh, wow. Roger Moore, Vicky says. I liked Roger Moore. He brought a certain air to the Bond films, but I didn't like him too much as Bond. I liked him as an actor. Yeah. George Lazenby. No one remembers George Lazenby, Rebecca. He was the first one. And, I mean, if you remember him, you're in a different generation than most of us, because I barely remember George Lazenby. I had to go back and watch his films. But he was good. It's just that he didn't have a long run. I think he only made like 2 films or 3 films, maybe. From what I understand, the actors who do Bond, they get tired of it after about 3 films. It's grueling, they say, so they don't want to do too many of them. Okay, Maridot says, is there something wrong with being a sorcerer? Monty appears to have the potential to be both mage and sorcerer. What's up? There's nothing wrong per se with being a sorcerer. It's just that it's viewed as a darker form of magic by the magical community. And so Monty would rather be seen as a sorcerer than a wizard. For him, he kind of looks down at wizards. Most mages do, because they rely on other things like staffs, tomes, things like that, whereas mages are the best way to compare it is wizards need a focus. They need something extraneous. They need something external, like a wand or a staff. Mages are the focus. So in a mage's mind, they feel closer to the energy that they manipulate without needing a crutch. So a sorcerer is pretty much the same way, except that a sorcerer will go into darker magic or blood magic, and that's frowned upon in the magical community where Monty's coming from. So there's nothing wrong with it. It's just different, and it's not accepted, which, of course, knowing Monty, he could care less. So he'll do what he needs to do to get the job done. And that's kind of where he's heading to, if you read the last short story, Saving Mr. K. Vicky says that the runes on Peach's side look Enochian. I can look it up for you to see which alphabet they come from. There's several runic alphabets, and I can find which one. I'll try to remember which one is the one that I used for that. Trisha says she loved Lazenby. Yeah, Lazenby was a great Bond. This is he's the first one, and Connery kind of overshadowed all the Bonds from that era. So it's a little hard to remember Lazenby. And Roger Moore was the comedic Bond, yes, because a lot of his movies are very tongue-in-cheek. It's almost like a little bit of a parody of the spy films. See, Vicky says Sean was the first one, and Lazenby did one movie, which is Her Majesty's Secret Service. He's the one who got married. Oh, okay. See, there you go. Like I said, I'm not that fluent in all Bond history, but maybe because he got married, he didn't remain such a heartthrob, and that's why people don't remember him as much. Yeah, Mark says Lazenby didn't do more Bond films because he couldn't see it taking off. There's an interesting history between the making of the Bond films with Albert Broccoli and his partners when they got started off. It was really shaky in the start. And so all of the actors probably didn't have faith in what was going on with the studio. I'm going to say Lazenby was wrong that the Bond films wouldn't take off, because here we are, I don't know how many years later, I think it's like 40 years, 50 years, and Bond is still going strong. So I'm going to say Lazenby made an error there in judgment. Right, George only did one. And there you go. That's why most people don't remember one person, just one Bond film. Mary Elaine says, oh, yes, Roger Moore's The Saint. I grew up watching that. Man, that was amazing. I really enjoyed Roger Moore's The Saint. I still remember the theme song, and I used to watch it with my dad, and I remember the outline of the stick figure man, and in the end, the halo would come up. That was a long time ago. So, yeah. Let's see. We have about 10 minutes, guys, so ask your questions. Vicky says and asks, what's my current favorite movie franchise? Wow. There's so many, Vicky. I currently really enjoyed Harry Potter, even though I'm late to the party, because that was just a fun movie to watch, all of them, all 7. I did that over a weekend with the family. I'm going to say John Wick, because the character is really, it's perfect for Keanu because he doesn't speak a lot, and a lot of it is physicality, and it's just fun. It's not deep, but it's a interesting character study on what motivates him. Currently, I think that's the one I'm enjoying the most right now. Jumanji, I think, is going to be fun. I haven't seen the second one, but my kids have, and they said it was really good. But right now, that's currently what I'm on John Wick right now. Let's see. The food, Stacy says the food, drink, and James Bond hour. Yes. There you go. Right. Chris says 007 was a job description, not a person per se. Right. And I think they're going to exploit that. I don't know who's playing the next 007, but I think they're going to exploit the fact that 007 is, like in the new one, A Time to Die, they're alluding to the fact that the woman is a 007. So that should be fun to see, because the Daniel Craig character, the old 007 has been retired, and they call him out of retirement. So that should be interesting. Chris asks, have you ever thought about writing a script, a treatment? Yeah, Chris, I just need to find another time, more hours in the day. I think each of the Monty and Strong books can be made into a script. and then I'd have to be able to shop it around to Netflix or Amazon. It's interesting now because I saw a trailer now, and now these new projects aren't even going into theaters. And I was telling one of my sons, get used to, we went to a movie in a theater, I said, get used to this, enjoy this process, because in about 10 years, there probably aren't going to be any theaters anymore. They'll be gone, like Blockbuster. Because people just aren't going to go to theaters. All the movies are going to go straight into streaming services. And so I saw a trailer recently for this new Mark Wahlberg movie. I think it's called Spencer for Hire, based on the old Spencer. And at the end of the trailer, it was on Netflix in March. It wasn't even going to a theater. It was going straight to Netflix. So I think that's the next step for big productions like the one with Ryan Reynolds, Underground 6 or something 6, that big Michael Bay production that they did. It didn't even go to theaters. It went straight to Netflix, and it did really well. So I think that's the next trend. And so writing a script would be a natural progression, the next thing, right up there with writing a graphic novel. I think the route I'm going to take is see if I can find an illustrator, write a graphic novel, and then get that made into an animated movie and see how that works. Let's see. So, yeah, you guys are still discussing George Lazenby. Wow. That's a shame that the manager turned down the role without Lazenby knowing. See, that's a shame. And yes, Vincent Price was a saint on radio. So that's way before my time. Chris says there's a movie rumor of the retired Bonds coming together in a film. That would be excellent. Yes, Stacy. Spencer for Hire, I think it's called. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. It's a new Mark Wahlberg film, and it's going straight to Netflix. The retired Bonds reminds me of the Bruce Willis movie called Red and Red 2, which are fantastic. That's Bruce Willis. John Malkovich was fantastic in both movies, and Helen Mirren, along with Anthony Hopkins, and it's some great actors in both those. And Morgan Freeman was in the first one. Red was a great movie to watch, especially John Malkovich. He was fantastic in that one. There'll be, like, in New York City, there's a theater called the Angelica, which only plays these kind of like weird, independent, slightly offbeat movies. It's still around. It's the only one in New York. And I think, Jenny, that's what's going to happen to most theaters. Like, the city will still have a few theaters, but they're going to disappear over time. I think everyone would rather just stream it digitally. I think that's where it's going. You know, before we used to have the VCR, we went to the CD, and now we're just going to straight digital streaming. Pretty soon, as Netflix and Amazon Prime and Amazon grow as studios, and now Disney Plus, you're going to have everything go digital. Hulu, all this stuff is going to go digital. Basically, John, that's what's happening. John says the streaming services are throwing everything out there and seeing what sticks. And that's what's happening. Disney, which owns everything, has a huge content library. They can pretty much do whatever they want. They've got all of Lucasfilm. They've got all of Marvel. They have a lot to work with. So now they have their own channel. They can really do that. Chris says, sounds like a plan, graphic novel. Yes, so if I can get the graphic novel done, I'll write it, someone else will illustrate it. Maybe Frank Miller isn't too busy. Then get that made into a sort of like a 300 process. Get that made into an animated film or film. Malcolm said MNS, the Xbox game. First, it has to be a PS4 game. Sorry, Malcolm. And that takes a lot of work, but it can be done too. Benna says, any thoughts of anyone writing in the M&S world like you have done in the Badlands? Nope. Not doing collaborations. For someone else to write in the M&S world, yeah, that's hard. That's hard. I can't even see that happening. It doesn't even process in my brain, Benna. And I know that could be an offshoot, but the way my brain works and the way I am in that sense, I don't see that happening anytime soon. Maybe my kids, if they want to be writers, they can pick it up after I leave. Vicky says some movies have to just be seen on a big screen though, not the small one. Yeah, I can't imagine like something like Star Wars, the original, watching when you see that first Star Destroyer come from the corner and it just keeps going and going and going and going. You're like, wow, how big is this ship? That's only an experience you can see on a screen. Yeah, I totally agree, Vicky. Yes, Mark, Red was, I can still watch that movie. That's how good it was, Red. Let's see. Yes, we're almost done, guys. We got like a minute, 4 minutes. John says, or asks, anyone seen the Man with the Golden Torque series? I have not. Send me a link and I'll look it up. I haven't seen any of the Expendables, Mary Elaine, but with that cast, I've got to imagine it's a lot of fun. But I haven't seen it. No. Right. Yeah. That, and Chris, I think that's going to happen. These kind of old places or specialty places will do screenings of movies, but I think the theaters are going to disappear. Ben says I should have said in the S&M world. Yeah, not even in the S&M world. Sorry, Monty and Strong. See, the PPD world that John created was created specifically with the idea of collaborations in mind. So John was going to write with different authors in different precincts of the PPD, and each author would have a different precinct. Monty and Strong wasn't started that way, and collaborating that way wouldn't work, because I know exactly how Monty and Strong would sound, and no matter how close another author would try to get to that, it's not the same. Just like I wouldn't try to write someone else's work, because the sum of life experiences that makes that author, it's hard to emulate an author's voice. You can get close, but it won't be the same. Like I would never dare to try to write Jim Butcher or Kevin Hearn or any other author that I enjoy, because their voices are very unique. Every author's voice is unique, so I wouldn't. It's hard to do that. It's hard to emulate that. So it's a great idea, but I don't see doing another collaboration after the Badlands. One, because like I've always said, the process is too long for me, for my brain process. And I have too much going on with Monty and Strong and all the other series. I think I was going down the list, and it's like 15 series that I have to actually finish. So, no. And they're all related series. Like they're all related to the Monty and Strong world. So different facets of it, with the exception of maybe Gideon Shepherd and the Blackjacks. Everything else I think is related, and the Assassin's Apprentice. But there's there's a lot of series in that world, and it's just going to continue. Yeah, Christmas says M&S book number 34 by Orlando, and I have a few in the family that want to write, so it's possible I could be like, yeah, this is how it works. So we'll see. So John asks, I don't even understand how these collaborations work. And we're almost done, guys. If we're not done, you got like a minute. Do they split royalties 50-50? Do they actually sit down and plot things out together? John and I sit down. We work the bare bones plot of the story, actually of the arc, and then of each story. And royalties are usually 50-50. So that's the way it works. But the thing is that I'll write a section. I'll send it to John. He'll write some parts. He'll send it back to me. I'll go over again and then send it back to him, and then he'll send it to the beta team or to the reader team. And so that back and forth adds so many steps for me personally that my process is like, no, I'll just write it. And in the collaboration, I have to deliberately slow it down and go back and forth. So that's why it doesn't work for me as well as a writer. It works because John and I, we have great times writing it, but it doesn't work for me as a writer. Hello, Katya. We're about to end, Katya. I'm so sorry you've come at the end of the episode. Same thing for you, Craig. Sorry, you guys are like, yeah, you'd have to ask Shane. I don't know how he does it with Cameron. I met them both at 20 Books Vegas, but we didn't get to discuss collaborations. So I don't know how each pair of authors writes differently. Like James Patterson basically just puts his name on a book, but the other person writes the book. So that's a different thing, and it sells because it's James Patterson. So it depends on how deep the collaboration is, may determine the royalty split too. I mean, no one's going to argue with James Patterson about, well, I should get more of the book since I wrote it, but he's going to say, yeah, but I put my name on it, and that's why it's selling, because no one knows who you are. And so there's a lot of other factors involved there with something at that level. Like if you're collaborating with James Patterson or Stephen King, at that point, you're just happy to be in a book with these writers. So it varies. Vicky says, I prefer Quentin over Callie. I know those are characters in Shane's book. I don't know who they are, but okay. Yes, my plate is a buffet. So, yes. Jenny says, the Pern series passed from one generation to another. This is true. And so did The Wheel of Time. Robert Jordan passed away, and Brandon Sanderson picked it up and finished it. Thank you so much, Stacy, for being here. I want to thank you all for being here today. Wow, we really could talk for hours because there's so much to talk about, you know? And it's awesome just to be here with each of you and just kind of like, you know, we could just while away the day and talk about all these different subjects. We can go from Bond to coffee to toddies to collaborations. It's fantastic. Oh, John, that's awesome. I hope they're not too burdensome for you, that you see my FB ads about 3 to 4 times a day. That means they're working, so that's great. Katya says, I just found out the other night. I'm trying to get caught out. Yeah, welcome, Katya. And I'm caught up because fiction took a backseat to my master's degree. Get that master's, get it done. But I met Frank, and where did Frank come from? Is there a list of the reading? Or yes, there's a list. We'll go to the mob and we'll put the list up there. The fantastic fiction author list is there, and all the books are there in order, for sure. Yes, one word, Vicky. Javambrosia. So not 2 A's. It's Javambrosia. Javambrosia gives you 10% off the entire Death Wish store except subscriptions. Okay. All right, guys. I want you to have a fantastic weekend, because you should, and you know, enjoy your time. I can't believe January whizzed by; it just flew by. I mean, we were just starting the year, so we got 11 months to go, and so much more to do. So enjoy the weekend, enjoy the rest of this day, and I want you all to be excellent to each other. Have a great day. Bye.